Good afternoon. I'm Creeson Agecoutay. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. The family of a man who went missing in Edmonton over a year ago has never stopped looking for him. With the help of a Anishinaabe tracker, they found a body this past Friday in a river in Saskatchewan. But as APTN's Chris Stewart reports, it was not who they were looking for.
Elizabeth Bedard and her father, Leon Larviere, had been looking for their 42-year-old brother and son, Barry Bedard, since he disappeared somewhere in Edmonton in May of 2023. According to them, Barry had made the wrong friends, and they say they were told by Edmonton City Police that Barry had died, but his body had not been found. So they got a hold of Makwa Bear, a well-known people tracker with roots in the White Dog First Nation near Kenora, Ontario. A week ago, Makwa Bear began looking for Barry Bedard's body in Edmonton. The search led to the North Saskatchewan River, which runs through the city. Makwa and Elizabeth's husband found a body in the river. Alberta RCMP confirmed a body was found last Friday afternoon. An autopsy is underway. At first, the searchers thought the body was a woman.
I've had over 15 different people asking me if it's their sister or their daughter or their niece, a loved one. I've had over 15 people messaging me about their loved ones missing, and nothing has been shared with the media or anything about this body.
The body was decomposed, but not a year old. Now, they aren't sure if it is a man or a woman. Makwa had to leave the search early due to a family emergency. But Barry Bedard's father, Leon, says he's grateful for finding this body because it will help the family of whoever it is.
I don't hold out any hope, but I know that these guys are good at what they do. He's given me a lot of hope, because I believe now when he comes back, he says he ain't going to stop until he finds him.
Leon and Elizabeth are holding out hope that the tracker will find Barry's body when he resumes his search in October. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
After a 2-year-long careful investigation, the Pimichikamak Cree Nation in Manitoba revealed its findings at the St. Joseph Residential School. The ground-penetrating radar search found what could be unmarked graves. Reporter Sierra Bettens has more, and the sense of shock now felt in the community.
3 years after commencing an investigation of the St. Joseph Residential School grounds, the Pimichikamak Cree Nation shared the findings with the public at a press conference. The investigation, led by Pimichikamak and the Saskatoon-based company Axiom, began in 2021 and concluded in 2023. The team used ground-penetrating radar to search for unmarked graves. Chief David Monius said the team's first task was to discover what the graves looked like. From there, they discovered anomalies in the ground that could signal unmarked burial sites, a total of 187.
And for us, it's quite shocking to hear that many, because you wonder how many missing children are there, how many children were actually going to school. And we had to not only search the ground, but we also had to search documents and try to find out where these children went to school.
The institution, also known as the Cross Lake Indian Residential School, opened in 1912, operating as a main Catholic residential school in northern Manitoba until its closure in 1969. It was run by the Oblates of Mary Immaculate through the Archdiocese of Keewatin. Pimichikamak member Sandy Robinson said about 1,240 students from 24 northern communities walked through the doors of the St. Joseph's Residential School.
In Cross Lake, between 1912 and 1969, 84 children died in the system. St. Joseph's, either through accidents, illnesses, and other situations. And there was a fire here in 1930 in which 12 students perished. 11 of them were girls, and one was a boy, all under 12 years old.
Chief Monius says the communities will conduct ceremonies to honor the children. He also called for the International Commission for Missing Persons to be a part of the searches. Sierra Buttons, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
And if you are disturbed by this story, the National Indian Residential School Crisis Line is available for survivors and others who might need support. That number is 1-866-925-4419. This coming September 30th will be the first time people in Manitoba will have the day off to mark the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, also known as Orange Shirt Day. Making it a statutory holiday in Manitoba was one of the first pieces of legislation enacted by the NDP government under Premier Wab Kinew. Now the province is providing hundreds of thousands of dollars in grants to support events and activities that encourage Manitobans to reflect on the impacts of the residential school system. Premier Kinew announced $800,000 on Wednesday to establish the Orange Shirt Day Fund. It will provide one-time grant funding this year for projects and initiatives that advance truth and reconciliation by raising awareness on Orange Shirt Day and create opportunities for Manitobans to come together in observation, reflection, and commemoration. Kinew says he wants every child and family in Manitoba to have the opportunity to reflect on the legacy of residential schools, the children who didn't come home, and the profound impacts of that trauma on families that still exists today. The deadline to apply for that funding is coming up quick here on August 1st, 2024. It's been a little over a week since a mine in central Yukon experienced what could be a major environmental disaster. Now, a First Nation located nearby is calling for all mining on its traditional territory to be halted and for an independent investigation into the incident. APTN's Sarah Connors reports.
On June 24th, a heap leach failure, a process that uses cyanide to extract gold from layers of ore, caused a landslide at the Eagle Mine near Mayo, Yukon. The Nacho First Nation in Mayo has major concerns about cyanide contamination caused by the slide.
There's a lot of things that we're not seeing that we don't have understandings of in the Yukon, including groundwater systems. And that's where we are most concerned right now is about groundwater.
A week and a half later after the slide, government officials still don't have many answers about contamination. Chief Hope says the government isn't acting fast enough.
There's not as much action or response to the site as we would like.
Now, the First Nation of Nacho is taking matters into its own hands. On Wednesday, it asked that all mining activity in its traditional territory be halted until the slide damage can be better understood. The First Nation is also asking for an urgent independent investigation and review of the incident.
A complete and independent evaluation is crucial to understand the environmental and health impacts of this most recent event. Plus, we need to evaluate the cumulative effects of all the events that have happened just at that site.
Chief Hope says the incident, which she calls a mining catastrophe, is a wake-up call for the territory concerning antiquated mining legislation.
The Yukon is the last open frontier for mining. I know that there is a lot of mining entities that expect that we have higher standards in the Yukon.
A Yukon government spokesperson says it's committed to working with the First Nation. Government officials plan to hold a technical briefing on Thursday to discuss groundwater sampling results from the mine. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Strong winds, lightning, and dry conditions in the Northwest Territories are a concern in the current wildfire situation. After the weekend, the Cleechu community of Etso went on evacuation notice, meaning residents need to prepare for an emergency. NWT Fire says the greatest concern is wind causing spot fires from embers blowing through the air and crossing over Marion Lake, which would put Etso at risk. In the Decho region, 2 new fires are burning 40 kilometers east of Fort Simpson. Highway 7 was also closed this week but has since reopened on Wednesday. Fort Good Hope in the Sawtoo has been evacuated for the last 3 weeks. There is no timeline on when those evacuees can go home. There are now 38 active fires, 4 of them human-caused, and 34 naturally occurring. Mike Westwick speaks for NWT Fire and explains just how busy this fire season has been.
We are seeing some significant growth on fires in the northern North Slave region. These fires that are most affected by this wind event are quite far away from any communities, though communities like Gamati may see some visible smoke on the horizons. In Béchacon and at Edzo, where we did get about 2 millimeters of rain. That's certainly a fire of interest and priority for us is ZF011, which is about 17 kilometers to the north of the Béchacon airport.
We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can continue the conversation. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. Communities in both Alberta and Saskatchewan are dealing with drinking water issues yet again. We'll tell you where when we return in about 3 minutes. Welcome back. Big renovations are coming to an Indigenous serving hub in the Point Douglas area in Winnipeg. The nonprofit Niganon Centre is receiving more than $21 million from the federal government for upgrades to its 100-year-old heritage building. Some of those improvements include better lighting, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. The feds expect the upgrades will improve facilities' energy consumption by 30% and greenhouse gas emissions by 225 tons annually.
We do a lot of really great community training in the building, but we, again, always have to worry if the roof is leaking or something like that. And our windows, I mean, they're over 100 years old, and the wind just blows through them. So this is, we're all excited about getting this fixed.
The Niganon Centre is a variety of services such as a medical clinic and an employment agency, along with education and training services for Indigenous people. The building was also built back in 1905 and was the former CP rail building. To a story now that continues to drag on for residents. Indoor water restrictions have been lifted in Calgary, but now the city is asking residents to spread out their water usage.
Now we're asking you that you return to your regular water use with a little bit of ease. We're asking you to go back to your regular habits a little bit slowly. And so instead of doing that marathon laundry session, maybe space it out over a few days. And there's nobody saying that you can't keep up some of your water savings measures as we come out of this. For some folks, you have said that using rainwater for your plants is giving them a lot more life. So let's keep those practices that we have gotten accustomed to.
Calgary is asking for restraint because it says stabilization work is still underway, which means there are still some vulnerabilities in the system. Yesterday, the city used 478 million liters of water, a little more than what was seen over the weekend. Meanwhile, Montreal Lake Cree Nation in northern Saskatchewan has now been without running water for a number of days. Last week, Chief Joyce McLeod said there was an issue with the water treatment plant and new parts were on the way. McLeod said the situation is an emergency and water jugs will continue to be delivered in hopes that the issue will be resolved soon. Power outages have also been reported in the area. There are more than 2,000 people living in that community. For years, the First Nations University of Canada in Regina, Saskatchewan has helped create many Indigenous journalists thanks to the Indigenous Communication Arts Summer Institute. That gives students a crash course in Indigenous journalism. First Nations University Samuel Tippawan has the story for us.
In June 2015, the Truth and Reconciliation released 94 calls to action. The Indigenous Communication Arts Summer Institute now in its 32nd year at the First Nations University, is exercising the 84th call to action, the one on using the media to help reconciliation between Canadians and Indigenous peoples.
Well, I recently joined the new 4-year Indigenous Communication Arts degree, and I just thought this would be a great opportunity to enhance my skills in journalism and communications. Storytelling is crucial to Indigenous cultures, and so to bring that aspect of Indigenous storytelling to the media helps us have greater representation.
Nelson Bird is currently the assignment editor at CTV Regina News. He is an Inca alumni from 1997. He's teaching students how to do a news story from the ground up. He sees the value and strength the Inca Summer Institute provides.
I think that the Indigenous Communication Arts program is such a vital part of Canadian culture. It's not as well known as it could be or should be, but it will be.
Hannah Scott is from Regina. She's in the Summer Institute getting ready for the new 4-year Bachelor of Journalism program starting in September.
I think a lot of reconciliation efforts have been very long overdue and very one-sided for a very long time, so I'm excited to be a non-Indigenous person that's participating in these reconciliation movements. I just want to make sure that I'm doing it with the right values and the right understandings around Indigenous issues.
The Inca Summer Institute is a 1-month program which began in 1992. Indigenous Communications Arts itself started in 1982. The 4-year degree program starts in September. Samuel Tipwan, Indigenize, Regina.
And just a tag to that story, Nelson Bird is no longer the assignment editor at CTV Regina, as last Friday was his last day after a more than 26-year career. Congratulations, Nelson. And he's not done his career in journalism just yet, so stay tuned. Now to tell you about this week's web poll question. We ask, do you agree or disagree with the federal government's decision to delay the phase out of open net salmon farms in British Columbia until 2029? Do you agree, neutral, disagree, or unsure? Have your say at aptnnews.ca. Saddle Lake Cree Nation's Tia Wood will join us next to talk about her new song and signing with Sony. We're back in less than 3 minutes. Over on the East Coast, St. John's 22, Charlottetown 27. Kuujjuaq 13, Nain 21. Val-d'Or 21 as well. Toronto 27, North Bay 25. Wawa 22, Big Trout Lake 27. Puckatawagan 26, God's Lake 24. Brandon 25, Gimli 24. Swift Current 22, Yorkton 24 as well. Buffalo Narrows 25, Stony Rapids 24. High Level 27, Peace River 24. Lethbridge 23, Edmonton 24 as well. Tofino 22, Kamloops 30. Prince Rupert 16, Dees Lake 19. Beaver Creek 19, Watson Lake 24. Yellowknife 22, Norman Wells 20. Fort McPherson 19, Sax Harbor 2. Baker Lake 17, Chesterfield 14. And the Iqaluit 5, Aglulik 6. 25-year-old Plains Korean Coast Salish R&B singer Tia Wood from Saddle Lake Cree Nation in Alberta has a huge reason to celebrate this summer. She just released her brand new single Dirt Roads on National Indigenous Peoples Day last month after signing with Sony Music Canada last December. She grew up touring the Powwow Trail extensively over the years with her family, who are members of the Grammy Award-winning group Northern Cree, and her sister Fawn Wood is also a Juno Award-winning artist. Our Dennis Ward spoke to Tia earlier from Saskatoon to talk more about all of her success.
Tia, awesome to have you with us. How are you feeling now that your song Dirt Roads is out and available for everyone to listen to?
I'm so excited. I'm so anxious, but I'm also just really relieved because the song, we've been sitting on the song for a while now.
The corresponding video, which is pretty great as well, has more than 100,000 views in under a week so far. What's been the reaction you've been getting to the song?
Yeah, oh my God, I'm just like, it's all been so overwhelming in the best way, you know. I didn't really know what to expect, as this is my first release into the world, but it's just been so awesome. I'm so thankful for all the love and support we've been receiving on it.
You've made the announcement back in December that you signed with Sony as a new R&B singer. That's a pretty massive deal. What was that like for you?
Honestly, it was really surreal and a dream come true, because, you know, growing up, that was always a goal I've always wanted to reach, but it was kind of hard to feel like it was reachable, because I don't know, it's just been so surreal, and I'm just so thankful.
What do you feel were some of those things that you had, at least in your mind, that were holding you back?
I think it's just like, it was just like the lack of representation, you know, growing up. Like, I feel like just now we're just starting to see the tip of the iceberg with Indigenous representation, you know, with now we have Lily Gladstone, Snotty Nose Rez Kids, Quanta Chasing Horse, Heather Strongarm, like all these amazing people. I feel like it's just, we're just at the beginning of what's to come. But I feel like when I was younger, I never opened up a magazine or turned on a TV series and seen people that look like me and came from where I came from. So I feel like that played a huge factor in feeling like it wasn't reachable.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing times. We've spoken with like 4 other Indigenous musicians this week alone, so it's been pretty awesome. What's your message for other Indigenous youth out there who have big dreams like you did?
I feel like something that I needed to hear in the beginning of this journey, because when I first started making music, I went to Nashville and LA, and I was making music, but it wasn't really resonating with me. I was writing stuff that I thought people wanted to hear, and people would just what people wanted to hear, and so it didn't feel good or authentic. And I feel like my message would be to stay authentic and stay true to yourself, stay true to your story, because people want to hear it, and our stories are so beautiful and they deserve to be heard. And also just be proud of where you come from and respect your elders.
Awesome messages all around to you. Congrats on everything. Hope things keep going the way they are. Appreciate you taking some time for us.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, Tia and Dennis. Tia also has a massive following on TikTok, so make sure to follow her on there as well. That's your midday newscast for this Thursday, July 4th. We leave you now with a sample of Tia Wood's song, Dirt Roads. Thank you for watching, and make sure to add her song to your summer playlist.